sitting in his car, and I was like, what the hell is he doing? But... Oh no, I'm on hold. I gave... I gave them the tracking number, and they put me on hold. It's my local post office, so...
Next time you're surfing the web, visit us at www.
Okay. Okay. They're gonna... It's not back yet, because I literally just missed them. They tried to drop it off, like, less than 2 hours ago. So, they're gonna call me when they bring it back into the office, and then I can go pick it up in person. Okay. Cool. So we have a quest where we need to go to the Bitter Climb. You know what? Let me go ahead and order lunch. I'm just gonna be lazy and order pizza today. But let me order lunch, and then my sister asked me to grab something from the mailbox because my sister is she likes to take advantage of the fact that I'm here all the time. So hold on, let me order lunch real quick. Do y'all want to hear a story while I'm ordering lunch? So, what would y'all rather hear? Would y'all rather hear the cringiest story, like the most cringy, horrifying thing I've ever done in my life that haunts me to this day? Or would you rather hear my favorite tabletop story? So, like, my favorite Warhammer Fantasy tabletop moment that I have in my mind at this moment. Both? That wasn't an option. I guess I could tell both. Y'all have been very patient. Okay, so I'm going to tell both. But I'm going to warn you, the cringe story is, like, it's rough. Like, it is rough. So, I've got 2 tabletop stories off the top of my head that I'll tell. And then so let's do a tabletop story, a cringe story, and then a tabletop story. So, so my first favorite story, in regards to tabletop, was I was playing my friend, Jacob. Which, if you're like a longtime person on the channel, you might know who Jacob is. He has appeared on a few streams way back, but he's a really, really, really good friend of mine, and has been a good friend of mine for a very long time. But we were we were playing a game of 8th edition fantasy, and we were playing for this particular time. We wanted to play a with like special characters or using models we normally didn't use. Like, we wanted to take really cheesy armies. Jacob is the Gotrek dude. No, that's Cold. Cold I've only known like for 3 or 4 years, or maybe a little longer. Jacob I've known since I was in high school. But anyway, so my build for this game was I had 4 Stegodons. I had an Engine of the Gods, a regular Stegodon, an Ancient Stegodon with double blowpipes. The regular one had the giant bow, and then I had Lord Mazdamundi on a Stegodon. So I was stacked with Stegodons, right? It was like my entire list. And Jacob was playing Skaven. And I was my goal, and I was just charging across the map, ready to splat everything that got in my way. And he just didn't have a realistic way to deal with it, except for he did. And it was a Hail Mary. So what he does is he takes his Gray Seer, who's on foot. I was stegged. Nice. He takes his Gray Seer, who's on foot, and he skitter leaps. So skitter leap allows you to functionally teleport, right? So he teleports he teleports his Gray Seer to the flank of my arm. So if my 4 Stegodons are like right here and they're moving towards the camera, he teleports his Gray Seer right here in front of, like, and so he's right next to my army. There's tons of skinks and salamanders and stuff. He's gonna die instantly, but he knows that he has a chance to instantly win the game. So he goes in for a spell called Crack's Call. Now, Crack's Call is a really spooky spell where you draw a straight line a certain distance, and everything on that line has to make an initiative test, and if it fails, it just dies instantly. No matter how much health it has or saves. You don't get any saves. Doesn't matter how much stuff you get, you're dead. Here's the problem. All of my Stegodons and stuff had, like, an initiative of 2 or like 4 at best if you were using like a skink crew or something. So he had there was on a 3+, every single one of my Stegodons died. This may have been 7th edition, but so he rolls the maximum amount of dice he can. He miscasts, or he irresistible forces. So by miscasting, I can't stop the spell. He gets it guaranteed, but then he has to roll the effect. So first we resolve the spell. He draws the line. It reaches all 4 of my Stegodons. He's set to kill over half my list instantly. So I need to roll less than a 3 on 4 dice, and for every time I fail, I lose a Stegodon. I roll for this first Stegodon, pass. Second Stegodon, pass. Third Stegodon, pass. Fourth Stegodon, pass. I don't lose any Stegodons. And then we roll for his miscast, and he rolls a 12. So, or no, he rolls a 2. So his Gray Seer gets just like sucked into the warp and just dies instantly. So his scan just completely commits suicide, and he got 0 value. It was amazing. Like the entire Skaven army just collapsed because his general just died, and I just didn't do anything. It was super. It was a funny game. It was very Skaven. Have I ever heard of the teleporting brass orb? Yes, I'm quite familiar with it. So that story is we're both particularly fond of. He's gotten me back a number of times, but okay. And then here's my cringe story. So I don't share. So this story, you need to understand, hurts me deeply, even though it's been over 10 years. But so I was at band camp, and this was my junior or senior year of high school, and I went to band camp every year in the summer, and it was like a really expensive but wonderful experience every summer, where I'd go out to the Panhandle and basically live out there. You kind of got to live like a college student. You lived in the dorms with a roommate, and you would spend 2 weeks at band camp, and it was a blast. I have many fond and not so fond life-changing experience memories at it. However, on this particular occasion, I was a self-centered dipshit to such a degree that it was painful and haunts me for the rest of my life. So we were going in a circle. We were at the end of we were at the end of the 2 weeks, so we were pretty much done with band camp, and I was in a woodwind choir. And to be in the woodwind choir was like the cream of the crop, because I was a very gifted musician. And so our professor we had already done our concert, so we were done. And there's no point in practicing when you're done at band camp. So we were just kind of hanging out, chatting, having food and stuff. And he sat us all down and wanted us to describe our most like amazing musical experience that we had ever participated in, like a performance we had given or some kind of music related experience that had stuck with us ever since. And we're going around the room and everyone's telling their stories, and a lot of them are very emotional stories because music has a very dramatic impact on you, and it really becomes your entire life, and all this stuff. And when it was my turn, I genuinely told the story that affected me the most at that time in my life, which is that at that point, a year or two before, a good friend of mine, had passed away very suddenly. He had a very rare form of leukemia in his bone marrow, and it got into his bloodstream and it killed him in less than a day. Like, he went from totally healthy, normal guy, no issues whatsoever, to stone cold dead in a day. And it was shocking. And as a high schooler, as a sophomore in high school, I had to face my mortality much earlier than most people do, and it was horrible. And it was very shocking and very hard on a lot of people, and bound a lot of relationships close. The friends that I made during that time or had during that time are still my friends even all these years later. And but the musical experience that I had was that the band, because he was in band, he was a very gifted musician as well. The band, we performed at his funeral, and we played at his funeral, and it was a very moving experience. It was a shockingly beautiful concert, and there were the aesthetic of the concert and some things that like happened. There was something almost mystical about it, almost enchanting. So you can see why this story was really important to me and why I shared it, because it was profound and it had a massive impact on me, and it helped me and many others kind of move on. Here's the problem. I'm telling this story, and I like to think that I'm good with words. Like I can speak very well and emotionally, and especially when I'm like in the right mindset. So I tell this story, and I can't help but notice that I hear someone sobbing next to me. Sobbing. Someone very emotional. I look to my left, and I will never forget for the rest of my life. I just told this story talking about this horrible but incredible life-changing experience of one of my friends dying and how much it affected me. And 2 seats to my left, which I had totally forgotten about, was his younger sister. His only sibling. And she's now weeping because I just brought up her dead brother who died 2 years ago. If that. Maybe like a year and a half before that. Ugh. It hadn't been her turn yet, for the record. So she still had to talk. Oh my... I will never forget looking over and suddenly remembering her existence and realizing I am a huge dick. Like... And she was dating this guy who ended up becoming a fraternity brother of mine in college, who at that time hated me. And, man, he was sitting between us. The look he gave me, I'm surprised he didn't just punch me in the face. Oh, it was so painful. It was so painful. Oh my God, it was horrible. It doesn't sound great. Oh, it was very cringe. I think everyone in that room shriveled up and died a little bit when they realized what happened. Was she upset? No. I don't think she was. Well, I mean, she was upset, but I don't think she was angry with me. Me and a number of others, not once I left for college, but during our high school days, me and a group of my buddies, who I'm still buddies with to this day, tried really hard to, like, have a, not brothers to her, but we were good friends with her brother, and we did our best to keep an eye on her and stuff. Did I apologize? Yes, I apologized afterwards. But that's one of those memories that, like, I'll remember sometimes, and, like, it's just like, is the cringe part over yet? Yes, it is. And then the second story, the second, well, I mean, for me, a cringe story is a story that makes you cringe, right? And that story makes me cringe really hard. So, the second tabletop story, and one of my favorites, was the time that I realized that the really old dudes that play Warhammer, like the guys in their 40s and 50s and stuff, can oftentimes be the most childish. Especially when they're assholes that do what I call, when they're just like, they're power gamers. So, like, they don't have what I would call, like, loyalty to a faction. They don't buy an army or paint an army or anything like that because they like it. They literally just, like, get the most, whatever the most overpowered army and then, like, pay someone to paint it, and they just, and then but if the army becomes bad, they'll just sell it immediately. And so they're always transitioning to just have the cheesiest bullshit. And they're not like, oh, we're playing the game, and, like, we're nice, but, we just want to have a competitive list. No. They would take, like, the most broken bullshit they could possibly figure out and would switch immediately to something else if, they learned about it. And they were assholes. Like, they were just super duper douchey people. And I was probably like 15 or 16 at this point. And I was playing against this guy in a tournament, a local tournament. And I already knew well enough that he was a douche. But he was, he was an old boomer. Probably in his 50s, and he's this kind of like squat individual. And we were playing a game, and he was playing Warriors of Chaos, and I was playing Lizardmen. This was during 7th edition. And he was a good player. We had been kind of like moving around and all that stuff, and I had moved my Cold One Riders with a Scar veteran too close to his army. And he was able to pull off a nice maneuver where he charged the front of my Cold One Riders with a unit of Dragon Ogres. So, for reference, I had 5, maybe 6 Cold One Riders and a hero going up against 4 Dragon Ogres. That is a blowout in favor of the Dragon Ogres, especially because they had great weapons. So they were knocking my 2+ save to a 6+ save. So I would need 6s not to take any damage. So we roll. He has great weapons, but he charged, so I think back in that edition he got to swing first. He hits with virtually everything. Wounds with, he's hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s. So he hits and wounds with almost everything. Tons of damage. Insane amounts of damage. I pick up all my dice. Big handful of dice. Roll. Throw it. 6s. Nothing but 6s. All 6s. And he his face turned so red that I swear that he must have, like, it looked like he was literally about to pop. And it gets worse, because I did, like, maybe 2 wounds back. He charged, so we're doing combat resolution. He charged, but I like did 2 wounds. I had a banner. I had my battle standard bearer, and so I win combat res. He rolls leadership. He fails, so his guys break and run. I roll to pursue. I roll boxcars to pursue. So my guys move 12 inches forward and automatically kill all his dragon ogres. And because I overran so far, he had this big block of 40 Chaos Warriors, and I ended up here, right on the flank, but I could still draw a line of sight to him. So it's my turn now. I charge his huge Chaos Warrior block in the flank. We fight, I do a ton of damage, and because I flank charged him to negate his rank bonus, he doesn't get all of his ranks. He rolls his leadership check, he fails! So he flees away from me. I roll to pursue, I roll higher than him, so I automatically kill the entire Chaos Warrior horde into his other Chaos Warrior horde right in the flank. And he just starts cussing me out. Like, he is just, like, screaming at me with, like, veins popping out of his head, and he's losing his shit. And the organized, like, everyone's like, whoa! And, like, the organized came over and, like, grabbed him by the shoulder, was like, ah, take it outside! And he's like, it's so, like, this guy's just fucking, just, like, oh. And, it was so awkward for me. I was just like, whoa, alright, calm down, dude, it's just a game. But in retrospect, it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
The way to the mountain will be hard. Ferocious machines prowl every step of the climb.
More corrupted?
Not corrupted, but they will not tolerate humans.
So what else is new?
We've already been up here. There you go. There are your stories.
Yeah, it's guarded all right. But I can get through this.
Why did I go to this campfire? What am I doing? Yeah, go here. I think some higher power was helping you. Honestly, I think if there was a higher power involved, it was probably more that it was punishing him than helping me. Don't I have to go to the mailbox? I will when my food gets here. It's not time sensitive. My sister's got like a package that's in the mailbox, but my sister has an obsession with like not letting mail, you know, sit until she can get it. She's like, can't you drop what you're doing and go do it for me? Which I'll do it, but you know, when I feel like it. Not on her whim. I am very random thought. I need to put this out on Twitter. This has like nothing to do with anything, but I am deeply proud of my sister.
Keep that for later.
Because she just had some massive accomplishments. My sister, I wish I could introduce y'all to her sometime. My sister is hysterical. She's probably literally the funniest person I know. But, which is actually saying a lot, because I know some funny people. But she, of my siblings, so I have an older brother who's 5 years older than me, roughly. And then there's me, I'm the middle child, and then I have a younger sister. And, my sister, me and my brother never finished college. Like, my brother, went to multiple colleges, never got a degree. I went to 3 colleges technically, never got a degree. My sister got a degree, then got a master's degree, and then decided she wanted to be a teacher, so she studied her ass off and stuff, and passed the Texas certification exam on the first try, and then decided to take the ESL exam, which ESL is basically like a program for teaching kids that don't know English. So you have to, I forget what it stands for. It's like English something learning. I forget what the S stands for, but it's very much about communicating with and teaching children that don't understand English, or it's not a good language for them. So like helping them learn the language while also teaching them, you know, everything else they need to be taught to get caught up. And she literally she was like, oh, I need to take this test because there are certain places I want to apply to that need this certification. Oh, hey, there's a test in like 4 days. I guess I could start studying for this. I've got 4 days. Studied, and she passed it on her first try, which to pass the ESL exam, you have to get at least an 80. Which is, English as a second language. That is what it stands. Yes, thank you. Matthew Johnson. Great. Good call. That is what it stands for. English as a second language. Thank you. Yeah, my nose itches. Yeah, look at this place.
Guy's sacrifice. It did this. Cracked the inside of the mountain like it was an egg.
Yes, yes. Quickly now. I've prepared the way ahead for you.
So you've been in here before?
To a point. You'll see.
I'm sure English is the second language for many people, especially in my community. I mean, we've got a global community here, which I'm very proud of.
An army of machines for me to deal with?
Since when were machines any obstacle for you? If you could fly, I wouldn't have bothered with the climbing path either.
I'm coming around on Silence ever since he saved us.
Don't look down. Don't look down.
He does kind of seem like a ruthless bastard, but he's at least very interesting.
This is exactly the kind of place I expected to find you in, Silence.
Thank you. It's one of many workshops I've constructed over the years. For years, I tried to get through this hatch. I drilled, I burned, I blasted. But we both know that you won't have any trouble getting through.
You make it sound like I should apologize.
Not at all. It never occurred to me that the way through would not be with force, but with a key. A key in human form. The failure of imagination was mine, not yours.
I thought you might actually be here this time. Actually, here.
Why? My presence is unnecessary.
I love that Silence is always just like,
You
no, I'm
don't
not
need my
going,
help to
dude.
pass through this door.
I could work from home. I don't
You
need
were
this.
born to do this, not me.
Looks like you've spent a lot of time here.
19 years ago, a great explosion destroyed this mountain. Gaia's
Wow.
death.
So Gaia only
Your
died
death.
19 years ago.
The echo could be heard as far as the claim. Ash darkened the skies.
Normally I'd mute my phone, guys,
How they
but I'm
fretted
trying to
and
keep it
waited
on
as they
just in
tried
case
to
the
leave
post
this
office calls,
omen.
so I do apologize for that.
The crater burned for weeks, but when it cooled, I was the first to behold what lay within. Over time, the machines closed ranks to protect it. Useful. Soon, no one dared to come here. Except me.
I didn't realize it was that recent. So, like, Hades... So, everything was going fine, and Hades was doing his job and not corrupted till, like, 20 years ago.
In her message, Gaia said we could restore her, but... after seeing the damage, how could that be?
She said any effort to repair her must come after Hades is destroyed. I concur. Rebuilding the terraforming system now might allow Hades to use it as a weapon. Because of Gaia's sacrifice, it has been forced to search for means that are less convenient.
But do you think it's even possible to restore Gaia?
You know what the cauldrons are capable of. How they fabricate any technology necessary to create a machine. By the same principle, It should be
Oh, that's a good
possible to
point, Phil.
replicate
That's a good point.
every technology necessary to repair Gaia. But that would take years.